Well, the decision's been made by your government to go nuclear in the Navy. But why has America decided to get involved? What's in it for them? And what will they expect in return? Ed Blakely is a former US State Department appointee. Ed, in choosing America over France, has Australia backed the right global power?
Well, they've backed the right submarine power. Submarines run silent and they run deep, and that means they're atomic. And we had a non atomic submarine. So, yes, the U.S. is Australia's longest partner. And this was a signal from the Biden administration that partnership is now firm.
So, what is America hoping to achieve by this agreement?
Easy, mate. China, getting as many people on side as possible. And what I don't think is going to be a physical war, but it's a war of strategic moves. The strategic move for the Chinese is to get that Belt and Road in place and scare anyone in the South Sea who thinks they can handle trade in the South Sea without the Chinese franchise.
Yeah.
Our goal is to make sure they don't achieve that South China Sea franchise. And if they do, the Belt and Road is contained under
Yeah.
our auspices. When I say our, that's Australia and the United States.
Would it surprise you if we see American nuclear submarines leased to Australia or with Australian sailors on board and stationed here until we get our own subs?
Well, aren't they here already?
Yeah.
Look, the thing about the relationship, and I was not kidding, it is silent and it is deep. The entire time I was in the State Department, the partners with the United States were the Brits on the face of it, but the Aussies in the depth of it. So this is a deep, deep relationship.
Do we appreciate that?
Yes, because we're scared S-less to be without the United States. We have no other real partner in the Pacific.
I'm talking with former US State Department appointee Ed Blakely. Ed, together with the pullout of Afghanistan, does this signify that America is shifting the focus back to the Asia Pacific?
Thank God. I thought I'd made the wrong move. Um, look, the United States has real interest in the Pacific that were combat moves under the last administration. I won't say any more about that, rather than the right moves. China is an adversary, but not an enemy, if you get the drift. China wants to have its say in the world. It does not want to go to war, physical war over it. But if you leave them the scope, they'll take everything they can get, much like I used to be at the dinner table. Anything that was there to eat, I scarfed it up. And the Chinese are scarfing up everything in the Pacific. Now, you say, why don't we let them? We can't let them because there are so many very important strategic assets in the Pacific. And the Pacific is really the power of the world. If you look at the vast economies and the growing economies, they're all in the Pacific. They're not in Europe. This is the economy of the world, the Pacific.
So, what you are telling us is that this is part of a long game about containing China that the Americans are playing.
No, it's a longer game than that. This game started out when the United States came into the Pacific just before the last war. That last war with Japan was Japan being angry the U.S. was taking its position in the Pacific. That war has not ended. We had Vietnam, we had Korea, Afghanistan. That war has not ended in a physical sense. And in an economic sense, it's now being waged by the United States and China, both of them knowing what's at stake here. If you control this part of the world, you control the entire world.
Now, the Prime Minister here talks about a forever relationship. But, mate, can we really trust America that she'll stay interested in supporting us, even in the medium term?
No. And I say no for this reason. The United States, and you learn this in the State Department, you make your partnerships where it really counts for your strategy. So we in Australia have to be on our toes. We have to show we deserve this relationship, much like many of our old girlfriends, Bill.
Yeah.
So the U.S. knows this is a deep, long-term relationship. And thank goodness the U.S. is coming home to the relationship that really counts, and that's with Australia. Let's hope the U.S. does not drag us into any more fighting wars.
God bless you, mate. Thanks so much for talking to us tonight.
God bless you.
Yeah, former State Department appointee Ed Blakely there. And you can hear more of Ed on his own podcast. Just Google Ed Talk Radio.